Well, hello people, and welcome back to some more City Skylines 2 coverage. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Time for the next Dev Diary, the 7th one, this time covering maps and themes. So as always, we'll have a look at the video together, and then dive into the blog afterwards. So let's see if there's anything interesting this week, shall we?
It's easy to forget how much our day-to-day is shaped by where we live.
Look at that opening shot. Look at those mountains. How much better does the terraforming look? No more really smooth, awkward vanilla terraforming, like proper mountain ridges. That looks beautiful.
But how our world looks, feels, and changes sets the scene for our lived experience. It's the same for the people in your city. And in City Skylines 2, the world...
No, here as well, just look at the lighting on this kind of brick building here, right in the center shot. Really nice, almost like volumetric lighting, very pretty.
...is a whole lot bigger. You can now build on an area 5 times bigger than before.
So confirmed, an area 5 times bigger. I'm assuming they're referring to that as 5 times bigger than vanilla 9 tiles, not 5 times bigger than 81 tiles. Not entirely sure, but I'm assuming 5 times bigger than 9.
Equivalent to 159 square kilometers. That's bigger than some countries. Maps are composed of individual tiles.
So that's interesting here, isn't it? We pick these tiles and we get a little breakdown of what is in them. And we can also see here a little currency, just this little green thing for a permit used. This is shown in the progression later on in this trailer, but interesting that permits now seem to be a thing, so I'm guessing it's a permit to unlock the tile. So unlocking tiles is still tied into our progression milestones, it would seem.
Connect them to create a sweeping urban jungle, or don't connect them to develop interesting little pockets of life.
So that's interesting. The tiles don't always need to be adjacent to each other. I'm interested as to how you're going to connect them though, because I'm assuming you can't build outside of your tile radius, so are they just going to be isolated little communities that have no real connections to the rest of the city? I'm not entirely sure how that's going to work. We'll of course have to play with it first, but interesting.
You can unlock 441 tiles on each map, but you'll have 9 to work with when you begin your city building. Reach milestones to unlock more.
So this is interesting. For the first time, we get a preview of the milestone window. So some of these are pretty familiar, like tiny village, I think it's tiny town as well we had, wasn't it? Big town as well. Large city and megalopolis as well making a return, but there is massive metropolis, expansive metropolis as well down there. So there's a few almost kind of sub-milestones, isn't there, between those seemingly larger ones? And we're also seeing that permit currency now tie in as well. So with Tiny Town, you're going to get 3 permits and 1 milestone progression. That little star there, that seems to be tied to the icon down in the bottom left. And we can also see that the milestone threshold seems to have been unlocked with XP rather than people, which is quite interesting.
When you do, choose tiles that best serve your expansion plans. Before you click, preview the total buildable area, what natural resources are available, and the cost of that tile. The expanded map inspires you to think big, but remember to think up. Height limits have increased too.
Look at that shot. So again, they just confirmed that the height limit has been increased, and you can definitely tell with those mountains, right? Look how big they are, almost Himalayan in some of those ridges. Swiss Alps kind of vibes. Can't describe how much happier I am with the landscape here. Look how much prettier that looks compared to City Skylines 1 mountains. Amazing.
Freeing you to carve a city higher in the sky than ever before. Building on this scale also invites you to think outside of the box. Literally. Create connections to cities beyond the edge of your map to open up trade routes that can accelerate your city's growth. Before you select a map, look at where it sits on the globe.
So we've seen this preview before of them looking through the new maps here. Although we can see that the San Francisco and Tampere maps are locked behind an expansion pass.
It feels like somebody wants to sell me something!
I told you he was on to us!
Make of that what you will, but it does appear that the theme is now referring directly to the type of buildings and road markings and roadside props, as opposed to being boreal, temperate, tropical, etc. Things that we had in Cities 1. Looks like the latitude and the climate is now much more kind of indicative of the theme you'll be playing with in the the way we know the word theme, if that makes sense. So whether or not you're in the southern or northern hemisphere is going to have a much greater appearance on how your actual map looks, as opposed to the theme, which now really affects the style of the city.
Is it north or south of the equator? And which hemisphere is it in? Check out how much of the map can be built on, which natural resources it has, and what, if any, connections already exist to neighboring cities. Found a map you like? Click and give your city a name. This is also your chance to change the default theme if you want to. There are 2 themes, European and North.
I also like to see as well that unlock all and unlimited money are baked into the menu here. Don't have to go to a separate content manager to enable stuff like that now. I like that. Thumbs up for that one.
American. Themes shape the look and feel of your city, from street markings to cop cars. The biggest difference is the architectural style of residential and commercial buildings.
So running over here what the theme is going to control, like we talked about earlier, service vehicles are going to change, the road markings, traffic lights, the styles of buildings as well, of course.
You can add buildings from the other theme when zoning your city. This lets you pepper European buildings in your...
Can look at those buildings there. Those European buildings are so nice, aren't they? Very Amsterdam vibes there. Also this little thing in the bottom left, playground confirmed perhaps. Desperately hoping that they're props. Maybe looks like a ploppable park, but you never know. Could be props, I suppose.
North American city, and vice versa. Still, the theme you choose dominates the appearance of your city, and it can't be changed later. There are 10 maps in the base game, each drawing inspiration from real-world locations. You might even recognize them. And with the vast area available on the new expanded maps,
Look at some of these vistas. They're so nice. It's like gorgeous maps.
terrains are more varied, resources...
Oh, look at that. An absolute gorgeous shot. The sun coming up over the mountains. Imagine our cinematics here with these mountain backdrops. Like, my cinematic sort of pickle has been tickled here with these, like, landscape shots. Really beautiful.
are more accessible, and there are more ways to connect to other cities. You'll discover maps where life is lived on the sandy beaches of a sprawling archipelago.
Again, these water reflections, every time I see them, they just make me smile. Can't overstate how happy I am with the... You know, there's some problems with the textures of like the road and the pavement and the grass looks a little weird in some of the shots. I'm still not massively sold on the road wear, but just compare this base game to Cities 1, how much better it looks with the lighting, just outstanding.
Maps that invite you to build at
And snow-capped mountains as well, that's so cool. So that height map, you go over a certain threshold, I'm guessing, you're going to start getting snow. Amazing, much more dynamic worlds.
high altitudes with a mountainside map, or along the winding waters of a rich river delta. There might even be a map that looks like the world outside your window.
This looks like, is it Tabletop Mountain in South Africa? Is it Johannesburg, I think? It kind of looks like that. I think it looks like Tabletop Mountain anyway. I could be wrong though. Let me know in the comments if you know where this is. It looks like South Africa to me though.
Select the map that stirs your imagination to set the stage for life and living in the city of your dreams.
And look at those mountains. So that is it for the video. Not loads to get excited about. We pretty much knew everything in there, but nice to get some visuals of the maps and how different they're looking. Some of the lighting is amazing as well. Let's have a look at the blog now and see if there's anything more to pick out there, shall we? So we'll start the dev diary off here by a little brief comparison between the map sizes compared to Cities 1. So in Cities Skylines, the playable area was a 5x5 tile radius, of which 9 of them could be unlocked, with one map tile being 1.92 kilometers, which results in a total player area of 92 kilometers squared, with only 33.1 kilometers squared of that being buildable. In Cities Skylines 2, things are different, so the tiles seem to be much smaller, apparently a third of what it is in Cities 1. But we are able to unlock almost all tiles, giving us a whopping 441, which we had confirmed way back when, didn't we, during that leak? Which gives us a total playable area of 159 kilometers squared compared to 92. So significantly larger, 5 times larger in fact. So additionally, the map tiles do not have to be connected to each other, so technically you can create small isolated pocket towns and you can purchase the map tiles all the way to the edge, where you can create new outside connections. So that's interesting, isolated pocket towns. I can't imagine how that's going to work. If you can't draw roads over your tile boundaries, then they're just totally isolated with no connection. That doesn't really make sense to me. Maybe I'm misinterpreting that though. And then here we get a confirmation of how themes are changing. So in Cities 1 they control the natural environment, like we had boreal, temperate, tropical, etc. But when we're talking about themes in Cities 2, it's going to affect the styles of roads, the buildings, with options of European and North American. I'm hoping in a DLC or maybe a content creator pack we're going to see these themes expanded. It'd be very good to have like a Japanese or to see Korean return, perhaps Australian as well. Also opens the question as, do you know what themes are we going to see appearing on the workshop? Are we going to be able to make our own custom themes? You imagine the hugely talented community that makes all our mods and assets are going to do something with that. Let me know what other themes you'd like to see added as well down in the comments below. So now we come on to talking about unlocking the map tiles themselves. So a brand new city in Cities 2 will start with 9 map tiles unlocked, which is roughly the same starting area as in Cities Skylines 1. And with these expansion permits, you can unlock new map tiles and continue to grow your city. So that's what we saw in the video, wasn't it? That little green currency. This happens through the map tile UI, giving you a top-down map view, which we can see here. Can be moved around and rotated, of course, allowing us to find suitable areas, which we couldn't do in Cities 1. You were kind of locked into that top-down view, weren't you, buying new tiles. And you can also select multiple tiles at a time and see the combined cost, which I guess is cool. So now it goes on to cover some of the maps where we can see Archipelago Haven, which we saw in its little map thumbnail, didn't we? You know, it's loads of archipelagos in it. Lagoons, peninsulas, cays, small, low elevation land formations, etc. Really nice to also see the return of some classic cities castle ruins here as well. They will be coming back, it would seem. Barrier Island is looking like a really fun map. Some very almost Manhattan vibes here, having a separate larger island to build a metropolis on away from the mainland. Great Highlands has drawn inspiration from Scotland. That's quite interesting. Mountain ranges dominate the region with long, narrow, deep lakes, typically known as lochs. That's really cool that they have Scottish inspiration in there. Highways and train tracks run between the mountains and along the coastline. So really cool to get a little preview of the maps here. We will certainly be doing our Cities Skylines vanilla, or Cities Skylines 2 vanilla map tier list. So expect a video looking at all of these maps in depth once Cities Skylines 2 drops. Another one here called Lakeland, inspired by a Finnish region. Really nice, kind of looks like one of the, I think it was a Sunset Harbour map, was it, that came with this? Fisher's Enclave maybe, something like that. Mountain Village, wow. With that mountain, like snow-capped mountains with the river and the valley, just so much better looking maps, isn't it? This is 100% the thumbnail today, this shot right here. But it's taken inspiration from small cities located along the Alps mountain range. I mentioned that in the video, didn't we? That they almost look kind of Himalayan, alpine mountain range vibes. Really severe mountain ridges, so much cooler landscape. River Delta, of course, is the one that New Dollarton was built on, with large curved rivers flowing down a gentle slope, breaking into a delta before eventually flowing out into the sea. We've, of course, seen plenty of River Delta already via New Dollarton. Inspired by New Zealand Canterbury Plains, how cool is that? So really cool that they've taken so much real life inspo. The map has access to a wide coastline. On the opposite side of the map, Mountain Range creates a marvellous landscape. It's so cool. I'm a lot happier and impressed with the maps than I thought I would be. Twin Mountains here again. Look at these like super snowy ridges along here. I also love as well that you can see how patchy that snow line is. Like there's a little bit of snow here that's broken away from the main fall. I really like that it's not kind of a predetermined set line. It's kind of, you know, falling a little bit further down the hill in some places. Really sweet. Then we have waterways, pass, and windy fjords here as well to wind things out. So let me know what you're thinking of the maps. I'd also be very keen as well to hear what map you guys are thinking of playing first. For me, I'm thinking probably Mountain Village is going to be my go-to, just because of those opening snowy shots. Really nice. And then we come on to talk about some outside connections again, where each map comes with at least one road connection, with most of the maps having a pre-built train connection and seaways. Similar again to Cities 1, where again we can import and export services. We all know this by now. So what exactly is going to change with the themes? It's going to define street markings, traffic lights, vehicle models for certain city services. Interesting, it says certain, not all. I'm guessing maybe the hearses won't change per theme, but stuff like police cars and ambulances will. And other roadside props. Not sure what that's going to be referring to. Maybe sort of bins and fire hydrants, possibly. Because it kind of mentions traffic lights separately, so roadside props I'm going to assume is something else. Maybe also stations for public transport will change too. And we get a nice little side-by-side shot here of some of those themes in action. So on the left is medium and high density European residential, and on the right is medium and high North American residential. Otherwise, pretty short and sweet, that one for the maps and themes. These dev diaries are definitely getting shorter and I think a little bit less interesting as they go on. But it's climates and seasons coming up soon, and I'm really interested for that one. Seasonality has been something I've wanted essentially since they kind of fucked up the Snowfall DLC by not making that seasons. So really looking forward to seeing some more information on seasons. But let me know what you think of the maps and themes. Again, I really want to know, now we've seen some more pictures of the maps, which ones you guys are going to play first. I'm thinking Mountain Village for my first city. We'll have to wait and see. But nice to get a look at the maps. Besides that, nothing massively exciting or interesting. I'll see you guys again next Monday for the 8th development diary. But until then, I'd like to thank you all so much for watching. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day.
It's easy to forget how much our day-to-day is shaped by where we live. But how our world looks, feels, and changes sets the scene for our lived experience. It's the same for the people in your city. And in City Skylines 2, the world is a whole lot bigger. You can now build on an area 5 times bigger than before, equivalent to 159 square kilometers. That's bigger than some countries. Maps are composed of individual tiles. Connect them to create a sweeping urban jungle, or don't connect them to develop interesting little pockets of life. You can unlock 441 tiles on each map, but you'll have 9 to work with when you begin your city building. Reach milestones to unlock more. When you do, choose tiles that best serve your expansion plans. Before you click, preview the total buildable area, what natural resources are available, and the cost of that tile. The expanded map inspires you to think big, but remember to think up. Height limits have increased too, freeing you to carve a city higher in the sky than ever before. Building on this scale also invites you to think outside of the box, literally. Create connections to cities beyond the edge of your map to open up trade routes that can accelerate your city's growth. Before you select a map, look at where it sits on the globe. Is it north or south of the equator? And which hemisphere is it in? Check out how much of the map can be built on, which natural resources it has, and what, if any, connections already exist to neighboring cities. Found a map you like? Click and give your city a name. This is also your chance to change the default theme if you want to. There are 2 themes, European and North American. Themes shape the look and feel of your city, from street markings to cop cars. The biggest difference is the architectural style of residential and commercial buildings. You can add buildings from the other theme when zoning your city. This lets you pepper European buildings in your North American city, and vice versa. Still, the theme you choose dominates the appearance of your city, and it can't be changed later. There are 10 maps in the base game, each drawing inspiration from real-world locations. You might even recognize them. And with the vast area available on the new expanded maps, terrains are more varied, resources are more accessible, and there are more ways to connect to other cities. You'll discover maps where life is lived on the sandy beaches of a sprawling archipelago. Maps that invite you to build at high altitudes with a mountainside map, or along the winding waters of a rich river delta. There might even be a map that looks like the world outside your window. Select the map that stirs your imagination to set the stage for life and living in the city of your dreams.